For many people, trees represent growth, comfort, and childhood. We relax in their shade, watch them reach new heights, and use them to climb and swing to our heart's delight. However, one tall oak in Mobile, Alabama represents more than human comforts. This magnificent tree signifies the struggle for proven innocence and the bloodthirst for vengeance. Charles Roderick Stanley Boyington was a young man with a promising future. After working in Connecticut as a printer at the New Haven Palladium, he went to Mobile, Alabama, and quickly got in touch with Nathanial Frost. They had worked together as printers, but Nathaniel had quit due to illness, and Charles had been laid off due to cutbacks in funding. Both men were between the ages of 20 and 22. They enjoyed gambling, drinking, and finding adventures among the city streets and cemeteries. With limited entertainment pursuits, the men began collecting berries from the Church Street Cemetery. And while this may seem like an odd excursion for a couple of gamblers, they found harmony in the quiet acres of headstones and shade trees. No one could predict that Charles Boyington's life would take a tragic turn in May of 1834, creating the perfect environment for Mobile, Alabama to be haunted for the rest of eternity. After a night on the town, enjoying the free flow of alcohol and the feel of poker chips in their palms, Charles and Nathaniel left the bar and headed home. It had become known that Nathaniel owed Charles money, but no one thought much of a few dollars between friends. After walking the streets and being seen by several city residents, the men made their way to the cemetery where they could sober up and gather a few ripe berries on this warm summer night. Nathaniel had been suffering from tuberculosis and was weak, needing to rest often. Later that night, Charles returned to the boarding house where he stayed, never mentioning the whereabouts of Nathaniel. The following day, Nathaniel was found by a passerby, having suffered fatal wounds. Someone had plunged a 3-inch wide blade 6 inches deep into his chest and his heart 3 times. In addition, the killer made deep cuts on Frost's back, arms, and hands. His head had bruises, and he had been robbed of a watch and some cash. Charles was an immediate suspect due to his lack of concern for his friend and his race to escape on a steamboat named the James Monroe on a late-night trip. Charles stayed in jail as many people from all over the country came to get a glimpse of him in a prisoner uniform. His family, former bosses, and friends were interviewed, with very few giving good reports about his character. Though Charles declared his innocence, he was walked around town for 2 miles before he was allowed to offer his last words before a crowd of about 6,000 people. He gave a lengthy speech declaring his innocence, stating that the state was killing the wrong man. Just before he was released from this mortal life, he said that a mighty oak tree would grow from his heart, proving for generations to come that he was innocent. On February 20th, 1835, Charles was dropped to his fate, but not without a fight. He attempted to escape but was captured by the guards. He also somehow managed to get his hands loose to claw at his neck as he struggled to breathe. Over 6,000 men, women, and children watched as he slowly died a horrific death. Charles was buried in the Church Street Cemetery near the spot where Nathaniel was found. And just as Charles predicted, a large oak tree grew from his grave. Many people claim they hear whispering, crying, and screams of anguish coming from within the mighty oak. The story of the Boyington Oak became so well known, it is featured in the book Jeffrey's Latest 13, More Alabama Ghost by Catherine Tucker Wyndham. Before you feel too bad for Charles, it is vital to mention that he was constantly on the run from the law, and very few people had good things to say about him. By the time he was 20 years of age, he had lawmen in 5 states looking for his whereabouts. No one will ever know if he actually committed the crime, but it was reported that his landlord at the boarding house where he was staying confessed to the crime on his deathbed. However, Nathaniel, the victim, was highly spoken of. According to his obituary in the Register, a well-known paper in Alabama, he was, quote, received into the social circle of a highly respectable family from whom he experienced all the care and attention which he had of kindness could bestow, and with whom he remained until his melancholy death, end quote. Frost was said to possess a, quote, sweetness of temper and urbanity of manners, and as well as high and ennobling qualities of mind, end quote. Frost demonstrated retiring and unobtrusive habits, although not calculated to inspire friendship in every beast, yet never failed to elicit esteem. As for Charles, his final resting place is a symbol to some that the wrong man met his fate at the gallows. However, a mighty oak is just along the brick wall, perfect for climbing and seeking shade. And even though the eerie sounds of choking death and children's laughter fill the grounds, no one can deny the comforts of a shady tree on a hot southern summer day. So, do you believe Charles was innocent? Or did his lies take root, creating a natural prison for the rest of eternity?